Let's talk about dealing with difficult team members. What are some steps to address situations when a team member is getting under your skin?
So team members that get under your skin are hard because you're already reacting to them. But the most important thing that a leader can do is not send out reactive energy. Every time you send out reactive energy, even if it's legitimate, right? Your team member's doing something that's really damaging the team or causing the team to underperform or causing problems with a big client, and you have every right to be angry with them. But when you communicate in a way that lets any of that out, that anger, that impatience, whatever, you're dehumanizing the member of the team. And in response, they're afraid. And when we are afraid, we go into our self-protective behaviors, and our self-protective behaviors are usually not very effective. So I've talked to leaders that are kind of, they like expressing their frustration. They think it gets people moving. They don't mind instilling a little bit of fear here and there. And that's fine if that's what they want to do, but it's definitely not the most effective way to get people moving. And when you have a team member that is getting under your skin, you want to talk to them right away about their behavior. And you kind of follow the same methodology as the feedback tool, where you acknowledge your mutual purpose, you talk about the behavior, you talk about how the behavior is affecting the mutual purpose, and then you request more effective behavior. You have specific behavior you request from them that will achieve the mutual purpose. Now, some people, um, we sort of personalize it. We say, well, they have this, personality that's a problem. And it may be so. In other words, you may have someone on your team that has a personality that's very passive aggressive. And, stop being passive aggressive is never going to work in terms of feedback for that type of person, because their passive aggressiveness is a protective mechanism for things that they're anxious and afraid about. And they might not even have any real insight into that. And they may not even know they're being passive aggressive. They might just think that they're expressing whatever they're feeling in the moment. So really, you just have to take a look at their behavior and how it's impacting the team and give them as much feedback as possible. And then, if that behavior is not changeable, then you find ways to repurpose them if you can, or, help them transition to another role outside the organization if you need to. The thing is that we can't change people's personalities, but we can help them develop more effective behaviors. And one of the ways to do that is to provide a psychologically safe place, because the behaviors that people engage in that are the most annoying are always going to happen when they don't feel safe. So anybody who's behaving in a way that annoys you, the one thing that you can think about in your mind is they're afraid of something, right? That something that they're afraid of is often not my fault as a leader. Sometimes it is, because I'm letting all my impatience out. But often it's not my fault and has nothing to do with me. But if you know that they're coming from fear, that can help you get a little bit less annoyed and a little bit more compassionate. I think a lot of managers that I've worked with that are afraid to give feedback and afraid to enter into these difficult conversations will often say, I need to be angry about it in order to have the courage to get into the conversation. And that does not work at a leadership level at all. Having a conversation with someone angry is only going to trigger them and exasperate any behaviors that they have that are annoying. So if you have someone that's passive aggressive and you angrily confront them, they'll get more passive aggressive, right? Even if they don't want to, even if they hear you, because it's their automatic response to when they're afraid. And the thing you have to keep in mind is, as a leader, as a manager, even if you're only one notch above them, even if they're older than you, if you're in the power position, they are going to be afraid of you to some degree because you have a power position to them. And um, there's a big emotional thing about power dynamics that we have to take into consideration. So anything you do as a leader is going to be magnified, and it's always a surprise to my leaders. I think The one thing that I actually did not get myself, but I got from one of my C-level clients, which I thought was really interesting, is that she has realized that there is kind of an emotional spectrum that she can be in, both positive and negative, that works well for everybody. If she gets too negative, obviously everyone gets demoralized. If she gets too positive, though, also people get anxious. And she was a little bit surprised about that one, but she realized that if she got too positive, then people sometimes got worried that she would be reckless. It's just really weird how people worry about the person in power. So the person in power, and you might not feel like you have a lot of power, but if you're in a leadership position, you are in power. The person in power really has to be in this emotional zone of that's very neutral and very safe and very calming to everyone around them. And that's where we want to aim for. So you have to work on your own personal growth so that you can be very aware of your own triggers and your own reactions. Because if you're triggered and feeling a reaction and you try to deal with a difficult person, they will only become more difficult. And usually they will increase the behavior that you're trying to decrease.